Welcome back to the Penn News Hour, coming to you from the studios of Free People Radio here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the belly of the beast, where we suffer communism in the upper Midwest. It's Monday, April 14th. David Penn, your host, glad to bring you some news that matters. We have a new movement in this country. It's called America First. And while it is associated with the Trump movement, it actually has broad bipartisan support for its key components. That's the manufacture of automobiles and automobile parts, the production of pharmacological agents, steel and aluminum, and semiconductors. These four, what we call sectors, are going to be protected by tariffs that will be set to encourage the onshoring of the manufacture of these critical components of a modern economy, the modern political economy that we enjoy here in this great republic, the United States of America. Let's listen to the leader of the UAW, the United Auto Workers, opine on this issue.
Let's talk about the realities of what, and this is saying, I've been reading a lot of this lately. Going back, in 1992, I voted for Ross Perot. You know why I voted for Ross Perot? For one reason, because he was the only candidate that talked about how devastating NAFTA would be to American jobs and to our manufacturing base. And he talked about that giant sucking sound. I've read this book here in the last week, Save Your Jobs, Save Our Country, Why NAFTA Must Be Stopped Now. You know what's interesting? Since then, Ross Perot's become a prophet. Since NAFTA was inception in 1993, we've lost 90,000 manufacturing facilities in this country, millions of jobs. And these weren't, low-end jobs. These were jobs that paid decent wages, had good benefits, retirement security.
I agree with you.
They built communities.
But here's my thing.
But here's the deal.
NAFTA was 30 years ago. The situation that we are dealing with right now, and I agree with you. I'm on the side of the folks that said this did the American workers wrong. Absolutely. But right now, we are dealing with a situation where these are blanket tariffs. We are dealing with a situation where manufacturing is not going to come back in 2 weeks. So I am really struggling to understand how UAW has aligned itself with Trump on this.
Well, and I think more specifically, Mr. Fain, just real quick on that point, how do tariffs create jobs?
So first off, NAFTA is still causing us to lose jobs in this country.
That's true.
Our broken trade system is still causing us to lose jobs in this country. And no one from either party has been willing to even address the issue for 30-plus years. That's the first thing. And we support tariffs as a tool in the toolbox, not the end-all, be-all. We got to fix the broken trade system. But tariffs are a motivator to make these companies do the right thing when we're talking auto. I can't speak for, penguins and all this other crazy stuff going on, but I'll speak to what I know. And, when we talk about parts, there's an exclusion for parts sector right now. The reason there's an exclusion is because we've been talking with the administration about how to make these tariffs work, and they've been working with us on that. And unfortunately, and just to be honest, we've been very clear when it comes to politics in the UAW since I took over. We're not going to just vote for someone or support someone because of what letters in front of their name. Those days are over. We expect people to deliver for working class people. And, while we extremely disagree with a lot of the egregious things that this administration is doing, attacks on diversity, equity, inclusion, attacks on federal contracts for workers, attacks on NLRB, on OSHA, where we just had a fatality recently. We need more OSHA regulation, not less. We disagree on all those things, on attacks on free.
Well, that is the leader of the United Auto Workers appearing on the most leftist propaganda networks that we have, MSNBC, and you could see that the commentators were having a hard time dealing with this. And they even asked him, how is it that you have aligned your union with the Trump movement? And that is because the Democrat is aligned with global capital. The Democrat is aligned with free trade. The Democrat is aligned with one world economy. Just to put it in some historical perspective. Historical perspective. The most outstanding example of free trade is the trade human beings, what we call chattel slavery. And who were the enslavers in this country in 1776 and all the way through to 1865? That would be the Democrat. It was the Democrat who seceded from this nation to protect the business model of slavery, drugs, and piracy. The Democrat that viewed human beings as inventory to be monetized. It was the Republican Party, led by Abraham Lincoln, who formed the party in 1854 specifically to end slavery. That is the Republican Party. So this is a lot about branding, isn't it? This is a lot about how things developed over time. It was a lot about President Johnson signing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and alienating Southern whites who found themselves gravitating first to the moral majority and then to the Trump movement. Southern whites disenfranchised in this process of throwing off the business model of slavery, drugs, and piracy. But now things are coming full circle because historically, before 1946, the Republican Party, always different than the Democrat, believed in tariffs, believed in supporting and protecting domestic industry, believed in making money off of the import of goods, not off of the progressive income tax, a brainchild of the left progressives. Now, even going back into that period of time, this Democrat-Republican thing didn't make a lot of sense. It was kind of a scam to get people fighting on teams. Actually, what matters today is freedom and tyranny. And what the UAW has recognized is that the free trade policies of the Democrat Party, and that man was talking about NAFTA, and guess who signed NAFTA? That'd be President Bill Clinton. If memory serves me correctly, he was a Democrat. The Democrats sold out to global capital, sold out to the idea of one world governance, one world economy, one world currency, and sent down the river its core constituency, union working men and women, sold them out for a bigger idea. And President Trump has been brought to power to bring change to this problem, and this causes political realignment. We listen to the UAW talk about they're still supportive of DEI. They're still anti many of Trump's policies and initiatives, but they do support the tariffs because they understand it will protect what's left of the automobile industry. And if you're a leftist and you're tuning in and you're thinking, wow, I thought we were going to get out of the car manufacturing business. No, we're not. This will have broad bipartisan support. Michigan and the other states like Tennessee, North Carolina, where vehicles are manufactured, these are important states in terms of the Electoral College. This will always be in place. Our government, the bipartisan government, the uniparty government, the progressives on the far left, and the Trump MAGA movement on the far right, everyone is going to support these ongoing tariffs to protect the manufacturing of cars, and the men and women who do the work, they're going to be protected as a core part of America. Same thing with pharma, same thing with steel and aluminum, same thing with semiconductors. These four sectors, no matter what is the outcome of the rest of this drama, these four sectors will be protected by tariffs for many years to come. This is David Penn, your host of the David Penn News Hour. Thanks for joining. We'll see you again very soon.